There we
Wow.
go. That works.
But that's interesting because it looks like it's recording on my side.
Well, maybe it's probably recording on both devices now.
Ah, I see.
But as a participant, I cannot suddenly start recording. I have to ask permission. So
Okay.
I'm now recording as well.
Okay, good.
Oh, I see.
That's
Okay.
better. If it works, then it's fine.
Yep. All right. So how's
All
everyone
things.
doing?
Michael, how are you? We haven't seen you for a while. So
Yeah, I'm doing good. We've got some projects around the house, the wall replacement that's keeping me busy right now, getting organized for that.
mhm.
Uh, but other than that, everything's going good.
Okay. Good to hear that.
And you guys?
Yeah,
I'm all right.
I'm fine. Yeah, I've been shipping. So yesterday, today at the post office.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting smooth now. Finally, I figured out how to do it. I can prepare everything online, get my list of stuff, list of the registered numbers, and then bring it to them, and then they copy the numbers, and it goes out. It's, before it took 3 hours, because one by one I have to make them, and another things there at the office. Now it was about an hour or something like that. So great. I think we
Nice.
lost Louis.
No, I think he's back,
Okay,
but not completely back yet.
mostly. Yes, it's slowly coming.
I should be here, but I'm just going to turn off my video because my networking is just terrible right now.
Okay,
All right.
at least we can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't be able to stay the full meeting because we have to get ready. I have to get going around 8.
Okay, so that's in about 22 minutes. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jelle been okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a rough weekend with some partying, but
Oh,
all good.
that's a good way of being rough.
I lost my voice yesterday because I sang too much, but
Oh,
That's good.
Okay.
that's good.
yeah, oh, it's all right. That's cool. But still wasted a lot of my Sunday sleeping, but it's
No. That's okay. But
part of life.
singing is in the group, or how do you sing?
No, we were just going out and to the pub, and there was like a live band, like
Okay,
doing cover songs, and we just sang along.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can do it. And Michael, did you see the feedback from Usby on the GPS? That
Yeah.
sometimes it's off and sometimes it's correct, and I don't understand how that works because I tried to find out if there were reflections or if it was another situation, but for me, it's still not clear.
You need to see the log file to see how many satellites he's seeing during those times when it diverged, especially over that bridge.
Yes, I don't know, but I think over the bridge it was correct. The nano was off there.
They were both off there.
They're both off. Okay.
Yeah. Or the second plot, they were both way off.
Okay. So this will be interesting to figure out why it was doing that. Because I looked at Google Earth also, or I exported the KML file, and so you can see it in 3D. So you can see which houses are around and how high they are. And did you see the file, the screenshot I took from?
Yes, I did.
Earth?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
The one above it, I think.
This is the one looking in this upper corner.
Oh, that bridge. I mean, for the other bridge. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
both up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like reasonable, like within expectations, basically? Like if it's a
You'd be
little bit
swimming.
off,
You'd be swimming in both directions.
It-
This is the project. This wall is falling down. I'm gonna have to replace it.
That's a lot of
Mm.
work.
Yeah. There's actually a system called Ready Rock that's it's basically like 2-ton Lego blocks that go in to make it permanent.
Mhm.
Oops.
Do you know why it was getting bad?
Yeah, it's water behind it had no way to escape, so freezing and thawing was
Okay, that was it.
basically pulling at the wall.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we lost Louis.
Yeah, I think so. Because maybe his network is still more and more unstable. I don't know why.
Yeah, so anyway, back to the satellite data. You really need to see the log to see how many satellites, what's recorded in the log as far as satellite data. It's just
I
number of
think it's the
satellites.
number of satellites. That's all. And if there's a lock or not. I mean, that's what I thought. Yellow, do you know? Do you remember?
if there are satellites in the log,
In the log
or
file, the number of satellites, I think they are in the log files.
yeah, there should be. Yep.
And if the valid GPS log, I think there's one.
Right.
Yeah, that as well. That's the void or available.
Yes.
So, but it only logs to the file if the GPS is valid. I think it's a setting right at the
Okay.
moment.
Mhm.
So invalid GPS measurements are not logged at all by default. You can
Okay.
turn it on.
And one question that I have for the journal file. Can we get more information in the journal file? That would be great for troubleshooting. So,
For the journal file, well, the journal file is basically the same as a drive log or any other log, but it just records always, so can't really put more in there.
just an idea, or let's say a debug file. If you switch to debug mode, it records much more stuff.
Yeah, well, we can add like a debug log, which would be separate, but the journal is basically if you forgot to press record or something. It was maybe we don't need the journal anymore. If we like always start recording by default, or you can turn it on manually by setting. Maybe the journal file is no longer needed now. I'm not sure.
It
We
makes
can,
sense to me. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if we use instead of the journal file, we can do a debug file or something. If you switch
Yeah,
from
the
debug,
idea of the journal file was the same as the normal log file on the Nano. So when you turn it on, it always logs. And then the idea behind the drive logs is you can manually say, I'm now driving. I just stopped driving. So I can keep it on and not create log files. And you can just take your drive and upload it without removing any like lines that you were like maybe walking around. Like you can switch to survey and upload it separately. And then you still have the journal as the file that the Nano would produce. Yeah, a separate like debug file or like a error file, like any just log files for text to see what's up is still an idea and still in the planning, I guess.
Well, you could imagine that something that would be helpful in a log file would be not just number of satellites, but that spoofing state, which is 2 bits, but I mean, I'll make it a byte. And also maybe the top, 4 or 8 satellites, their signal strength.
That's also a good
Mm.
one. Yes, it's not too much data, and it's very
Right.
very important data.
Because with that data, we could you know, replay it on a satellite map
Yeah.
to at that time to see. It'd be nice to have a side-by-side view of the satellite map, of the satellite constellation and the map to see where things went bad and why, you know, and try to figure out why.
Mhm.
And that would then be on the satellite view because in the other
No,
views,
no, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about doing it on the Zen
No,
itself.
not on
I'm
the
talking.
device, but in
I'm
the
on
cloud,
a
you can lock it somewhere else.
yeah, on a
Display
different
somewhere else.
device or on a PC
Yeah.
to be able to say, all
no,
right,
I mean to record. So to create the logs next to the measurements of
yes,
the satellites as well. That means that we have to have the NavSat worker always active as well.
right. But you don't have to,
For
you
example,
know, at most times you don't have, you can ignore that packet if you're not processing it, or you could be processing it into a log file. Is that a problem? Is there are you running
no,
into
no, it's not really a problem.
if
I
your
don't know.
inner loop gets slowed down by NavSat too much, that might be a
No,
problem.
I don't think it slows down. I think because it's like serial connection. Like the messages are just in the serial queue, and then you just process it. It takes maybe a millisecond or two. I don't know.
Right.
So in the loop, it's not communicating directly with the module itself.
Okay.
So yeah, we can keep it on. Like we used to have it on as the whole GPS connector did both things. So now it's separate, like a separate worker doing the thing.
Right.
But yeah,
So
we can
just
take a look at like more logging possibilities, like for satellites. It also means more settings, like what do you want to log, or do you want to enable this more more logging for like satellite data as
Detail.
well.
well, what I'm thinking, sorry,
Sorry.
what I'm thinking about is there's a drive file, which is what's going to go to the database. But basically what we're talking about is like a cockpit flight recorder, right? Where we just
Right.
basically log stuff for troubleshooting eventually if needed. And that file, you know, maybe even just do like the Unix log files. They just get rotated, you know, weekly or something like that, so we don't fill up the SD card. But if a question comes up like what Asby had
Yeah, we lost you. But probably he will come back.
But no, a good point.
Yeah, that would be very useful if we could do that. We lost another one.
If we all turn off
No,
our videos, then
no, it might help Louis' bandwidth. I don't know.
yeah,
No,
perhaps.
yeah,
It's the download side.
Okay,
we try.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry, no, just my networking is terrible, so I'm just actually just hotspotted my phone and stuck it in the window.
then we can stop the videos because the takes even
No,
more
it's okay.
bandwidth for your phone network.
Yeah. No, the phone's actually more reliable than the rural internet, which is really tragically sad.
It's not the speed, it's the connection itself, you mean?
Yeah, it's the connection
Yeah.
itself. It just keeps dropping.
Okay.
And that's what happens in June when all the trees get their leaves right between the tower and my house. So okay, so basically the idea, just before I dropped out, I was just talking about cockpit flight recorder or something like that. The other thought I had is, again, depending on your region in the world, you should be using different satellites. So if, like GPS uses this thing called SBAS, which is only effective in the Americas. It's geostationary somewhere over the Americas, works in the north and south. So if you're in Europe, you're looking at a very, very low angle, if at all. And if your GPS receiver is trying to get a additional accurate time, it's going to be suffering some ionosphere distortions. So that brings up the whole idea of where you are determines which satellite constellation. The other thing is, if the Czech Republic is not it's not that close to Ukraine, but if there are active jamming, then that's an issue as well. I was just reading up on the Chinese system Beidou, and they claim, of course, like you have to. They claim that it is now that it's fully operational, it's actually more reliable than the American GPS, which is kind of well, I mean, it's the first one up there, so it's aging a bit. So there might be an opportunity to try different systems, whether like a combination Galileo Beidou or GPS Beidou, whatever. And again, coming back to the Japan case, you guys in Japan have this quasi-zenith system, which was specifically designed for urban canyons. So that would work in Japan, let's say, like in a built-up area. So
Louis, you think it's a good idea to do it on once we get coordinates, then we can set a default automatically for that area, for example?
Yes, yeah, and it doesn't have to be, like it doesn't have to be fine grained. Be the Americas, Europe and Asia towards the west, so like the Central Europe, Russia, Middle East, Africa, and then the Western Pacific, East Asia. So basically three, nothing basically, like don't. And we know from the documentation from U-blocks which constellation combinations they recommend based on their receiver frequencies, and basically just turn on those recommended depending on where you are. So.
And we could also check the nano, what the nano is doing basically. There's because they don't use all the constellations, I think. They only have compared to the U-blocks.
Yeah, so well, I'm not too sure what constellations the Nano uses, but as far as I know, it probably only GPS, because when the Nano came out, the other systems weren't around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure what. Where's my Nano? We're not even sure what model this is of. I mean, you can look it up, but
yeah,
TTPA 013.
I think it's even in the specifications for the Zen. The Zen compared to the Nano, it's on that list somewhere. I do not know directly out of my head.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's and that's just a thought. Anyway, I'm gonna have to leave in about 5 minutes, so I'm just gonna quickly talk about the manual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of, like I'm adding lots and lots of details, but where I'm having trouble is the organization. And just because I've been looking at this thing for basically, like a year or so, I'm very familiar with it, so I can't come along with, like an approach with newcomer eyes. And so I think at some point I'm just going to just print out what I have, spread it out over the kitchen floor, and try to reorganize it that way. And
I hope you have a big kitchen floor.
yeah, that's what I used to do at university papers. I just, it's like, okay, I'm lost here, and even a pair of scissors and cut up the pieces of paper and string them up in lines. so that's basically my goal for this week, is just to organize it. One thought, it would be a 2-page quick start, as like read as front matter, and then we, like if anybody wants to delve into it, they can then start looking at the individual chapters, right? Because the configuration there's a huge amount of things going on in that configuration screen and subscreens, and that, and it's a case of, you can click this button, but what does it actually imply? What what are you engaging? What are you, what does it mean really?
I think that's
and that's
a good idea to make it very simple. Let's say a cheat sheet, they call it. I think something like that.
Yeah, no, just a quick start to it, or Zen for the impatient.
Just to get going, basically.
Yeah.
I think we had the
just,
same
like,
for the bGeigieZen cast. Like, just set it up, and then you can use it, and some basic information. Then the manual with like, what does each thing do? Like, what are the specifics, etc.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
good.
Louis, you should check the cast what Yellow made, the menu for it.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
That's a good guide for that.
Okay, folks, I gotta run.
All right.
Yes, have to get the little guy to his doctor's appointment. So,
Hey, Louis.
all right. Have a good week. No, it's not a matter of luck. It's just a matter of packing him up in the car.
All right. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so about the satellites, well, now Louis is gone, but I think we did discuss this a few times already. So I think on the satellite view, where you have the constellation, we're gonna have a small menu, and I think the view is the easiest place to do it, instead of like the web server. And I already mentioned it, like it's like between requests, you pull the module, or you configure the module, and then you have to wait, blah blah blah.
Sure.
I think the satellite view, we can have like a button like auto configure, and then it will be based on the longitude. Maybe like Europe, like kind of in Europe, or like Eastern Europe, Middle East. You can use these preset by us. Like we can configure like, if you're in Europe, then this and this and this satellite set is good. And Eastern Asia can be like Beidou, and like whatever preset is good for that place. The same with Americas. Like,
but basically, I think you don't even have to write it. This is the set for Asia. This is the set for Europe. This is the set that people don't know about the constellations.
exactly. Yeah, I think that is the easiest way. And then if people really want to have their own configuration, they could like install Michael's like package and then do it by hand, or they can fork the Zen code and implement their own setup, or something like that. Just to keep it easiest for the user itself.
Yeah. They could use the testbed to do that work.
Yeah, the testbed, they can do that. They can do that right now, basically. But it's nice to have like just some preset options on the Zen itself.
I find it interesting. I was just Googling which GNS to use based on location. And I don't see any. I don't see anybody's created a site that lists that.
That's interesting.
Well, we can run some tests. I think, like Louis mentioned a few times, or Michael, you as well. We all live in separate parts. I live in Europe, you in US, and Rob in Japan. So we can just test it out, see what's best.
We can at least nail those locations. That's true. I mean, I'll keep looking to see if somebody's created that, a data set for that.
I also maybe have an option to send one to Alaska. That would be a good one too. There.
Right.
North. That will be interesting to see what we can get there. Not yet.
All right.
Okay, there was one question about the satellite. Can we do it dynamically? So you don't, if you change to another, how would you say that? Another constellation, you have to reboot, or how does that work?
It's a cold start. Even with the
I have to
R10
do a cold
module, you
start.
have to
Yes.
do a cold start.
I could imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
but you
has
don't
to-
have to restart the device itself.
No, but the cold start of the GPS.
But you
That-
still have to
that-
do it manually, like go to the page and press the button that you indeed want to change to a different set. I
Maybe
wouldn't
we
go
should.
like, oh, you're now in America. Okay, let's change it for you. I wouldn't. I
No,
don't
no,
think
no, no. I wouldn't
that's
do
a good
that.
idea.
But we have to maybe in confirmation that you really want it because it takes 10 minutes or something like that, some kind of warning.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So on the satellite view, then there will be like a little menu, similar to the settings page. And then you can also have like a confirmation and just show the information, like press OK to apply. It will take like a few minutes. You can undo this or go back to other settings by pressing the other button or
Okay.
something like that. So that will be available. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. Like that. And
Mhm.
yeah, another. Do we have to talk more about satellites? I think.
No, I don't think so.
Unless Michael comes up with something suddenly. He's still googling.
Well,
I can see that.
I missed that. What did you say?
Yeah, I was asking if we are finished with the satellite, but I saw that you're still trying to figure out by googling some
Right.
information.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything like that.
In the U blogs, there's
Interesting.
information about it. In U
In their
blogs,
forum they do, but there's no formal like, okay, this based on, longitude or latitude, where what would be your best choice for GNSS?
and maybe we should
There's nothing
do
like that.
we should test it and see what it works best, and
Yeah,
we can try that out. Then we be the first. That's good.
we could do that ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah. And
and
Jelle, you
and
have
it's a balance between the hardware you have and where and your location, because it limits some. You're limited by how many frequency bands you can actually monitor.
I should probably have multiple devices running the same hardware next to each other, and then like take drives with different configurations for GNS.
Yeah, now that I have two Zen modules, I was going to just actually set them up outside and do those tests, just cold start at the same time, with different configurations and get lock time and satellite time side by side,
And
in real
multiple
time.
times.
Yeah, at multiple
Right.
times. Just yeah, right. It's an exhausting test, but
Yeah, it
that's
is.
what you need to do, because the only other base metric you have is signal to noise ratio.
I think
Oh.
we should all do that. Like I should probably do that here in Europe then, and Robin.
Yeah, I should do it in Japan. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
If you have a guide how you want to set it up, I can do that.
So I was thinking of setting up the test bed to have a series of tests, and you just have have that loaded into two Zens and press start at the same time and see what happens.
Okay, and then upload or share the log somewhere.
Right. And obviously all that stuff, the raw data packets get logged, as well as the measurement metrics.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
And Yellow makes some progress on the threading, or sorry, on the.
Oh yes. It's basically done. Well, no plotting yet. I haven't integrated it in the Zen code yet. But I have a few like testing programs that I can use, and it's okay. It works. So I haven't been able to break it yet. But I think maybe on the Zen, it will break. But that would be okay because then I can fix it. But it looks like it will work fine. Currently, I went with the safe route to when you start like handling or producing data in a separate thread, it will not run the worker or a handler again. So, for example, I have a worker which like outputs every second just a number, just increment. And then another worker which just does the same, like it just echoes the same increment, but as in a task with a 1.5 second delay. So it would run the task, 1.5 second later would finally say like that this one number was the input like before. But then the other worker would already produce the next number, and then it would skip those because you can only have one task running per worker. So if I put the delay on 0.5 second, it would like just be a 0.5 second late every time. But now, just to test it, like does it skip, like things like that. Yeah, that works.
Okay,
I still don't have a way to properly like interrupt a running worker, except for or deactivating the worker itself, or any like timeouts is not really a thing. Although, yeah, it kind of depends on how you implement the async handling. Like if you build in like some kind of like return function or like a timeout in there, and then you can just return or cancel, kill the process. That works. But it's not built in, so you can always do it in the worker. But there's not really a function for it right now. But at the moment, I don't see any issues with the current implementation because it's a bit safe. There is a function to stop the task, and yeah, it's really a simple implementation actually. So
Okay,
I don't see where it
forward.
can break. So that's a good thing.
Because currently on the Zen, that if the screensaver runs and I don't see it moving, it doesn't make sense to press the screen because it's somewhere it's not doing anything. But when
Yeah,
it
that's
starts to
when
move, I can press the screen.
then it is posting data to the API.
Yes.
That might take like a second or
Yeah.
something like that.
Second, then stopped for a moment, and then you cannot touch the screen, and then it continues again. If it continues again, I can press the button.
Right,
Or-
right. Yeah, the button press, I will be able to do it properly again because now it's like it needs like 2 cycles to see the actual button press, which was a fix for the core gray. Because sometimes I don't know, there was like some
Yeah,
static,
I
and
remember
then
that we had
it would
issues.
be in a delay, and then it would think, oh, I pressed the button because it took a while, but it was the API taking a while, not a button press. So that will be fixed as well, and then I hope the main loop will be below like a few milliseconds, like at least below 10 milliseconds. I think that was the main.
That's that button pressing thing. That was a problem with my implementation, was that what the main delay is, it's delaying because it wants to know whether you're going to do a double press.
Right. Yeah, I'm not using the core 2 functions.
Yeah, I know you use
in
the raw function, which
Yeah.
eliminates that delay.
Yeah.
That I just said, you know what, it works. It's just if a person, like didn't see the immediate reaction, they might double press or so it's a little inconvenient because there's that lag in the user interface on the test bed. But so not having to recognize double press definitely makes things simpler.
Yep.
And more efficient.
Yeah, but then again, if you know it, you get used to it. It's easy.
Right.
That's also true.
So much.
Yeah, that will be my plan for this week to implement it in the Zen. It's basically backwards compatible, so we don't need to change any code. Yep, basically that.
That would be great if we could get it going. I'm looking
Yep.
forward to that. And for me this week, I will be sending out, preparing the second batch of Zens going out and working on the new boards that came in today. Trying them out to see how good they are.
Right.
0.8 millimeter is, by the way, it's quite good. It's nice and thin, and it's not too flimsy, so you can twist it a little bit, but not too much.
Hmm.
So I have to do some testing because the battery clips of the battery can go wrong if you're not careful.
Right.
It can be good, it can be bad.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I didn't think about it, but I noticed it when it was really bending. It's like, oops, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe a combination, not too thin and not too thick. So maybe 1 millimeter or something like that. I have to do some testing.
All right. Sounds good.
And ASPI at the moment is showing it at the conference, so the Zen. I sent them the say the clean version completely that you can show off a clean design.
Nice.
I like that
basically
the-
sent mine. You like what?
I like that the GPS module is as far away from the core as you can make it. I anecdote.
That's
I was just going to say anecdotally, it looks like it's better. But I never did follow up with that test of the GPS module position on the board, like especially being right next to the display. Um,
Yeah, Louis couldn't find any RF issues with that, so
it's a hard thing to, you know,
it can be
so-
very subtle, I think.
to look at RF radiation data. It's from my undergraduate work in that area. It's like really difficult with all the reflections that you get.
That's true. But one of my reasons for moving it away is that I covering the positive of the battery this way, so it's not exposed in the top anymore.
Right.
That was one of the, and all the connections are under it. It's maybe a little bit difficult to troubleshoot, but for the user, I think it's much more friendly if there's no issue. If there's an issue, you have to take the GPS off and you have to go under it. But I am hoping there will not be many issues.
Right.
And it looks clean. I like that too. We got the
Okay.
compliment from Ray. Ray said it looked wonderful. So that was good.
Great.
Congratulations.
To hear that.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty happy what we put together.
Yeah, it's really coming together well.
And I was also comparing it with the Checkrat. That's a kind of competitor of the Nano. And ASPI was showing some things about it. And they make a big deal about they using different GPSs and things like that. Exactly what we do. But it's my idea is to have it open source and easy available and low priced. But they have it closed and things like that. So you cannot see the code that they're using. That was like, I don't know.
Maybe they just forked us. No. Could be same Zen code. Just a different interface. No.
Maybe,
I mean, could be. We'll never know.
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. That's fine.
I
No.
think it's fine for me too. I mean, that's what it should be. And make it, and I hope to make it better.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then we hope they give us feedback. I mean, if they don't, then it's nice. It's okay if they're
Yep.
happy. Okay, good. At least we are all on the same idea here. So that's good.
Right.
Okay, I don't have so many other things to say. So I don't know if you have other things.
No, not at the moment.
No?
Although, no, I've actually, the conversation with Asby, I was looking back at it, at some point. What was it? There was something like, reading the SD card contents from USB,
Oh, right.
but
Yes.
that's not possible on the core. I think like that, there's no possibility of reading the SD card contents if you plug in.
But I think I'm not sure how it's implemented. So that's why I was thinking that maybe they can put it in like in a drive mode, and then like you have for the what is the name? There is on the red beer. It's a kind of a small module, and then you can have the SD card show up as a hard disk if you connect it to the USB.
Yeah.
Something maybe similar to what they're doing. I'm not sure if that works like that.
I think when I read it, I did a quick search, and they don't have any driver that can do that. Any there's no chip or like a file. What's it, like a file system?
Right.
Yeah, there's no connection between the USB and the SD card, basically. But maybe on future cores, who knows?
I don't know. I mean,
So the Nano doesn't have that feature, right?
No, there's not even a USB, I think.
Yeah. So I can dump. I've experimented with just dumping SD card file data using the debug interface between the Zen and whatchamacallit, the programming interface, right? You know, when you set up, when you set up,
the file itself, or
no, I just literally on the Zen, or actually was with another module, I just had it dump the data from a file using the serial interface to the host, right? Using Visual Studio's debug interface.
I see.
But that's a whole infrastructure that your user's not going to have.
Yeah.
So let's see. Maybe we can even talk with the persons who are making that, so to see how they implement it, or if they're willing to talk about it. I don't know how open they are about that. But that could be another step or another idea to think about.
Right.
Yeah, well, because the plan for the uploading to the API, which is still work in progress, is that reading the content file from the SD card and just streaming it to the API. Might as well just stream it to the USB to receive it on the computer. But there should be some action on the Zen to start that process.
I can imagine that.
But I think uploading it directly to the API at that point is just easier.
But uploading as a log file.
As a log file,
yeah. That will be the best, I think. That's the easiest and the cleanest and less interference for people to do. I mean, my idea was also to use Wi-Fi for that, so you can directly push it to the API.
I mean, but I can see Asby's point of he was like, there are people that just like, I don't want to have to deal with wireless networks. I just want to be able to plug A and B together and have it share the data.
No. I can imagine that too. I used to be like that too. Once you start using Wi-Fi, I mean, and everything works on it, and you don't want to do that anymore. I mean,
yeah, but then you have to configure like your Wi-Fi password. Like you either have to take out the SD card to configure it, or you have to start up like an access point and then connect it to it directly, and then no, that's also work. It's just easier if you can just plug it in, pick the file, and upload it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
But
but then you have to do it
yeah.
every time. But once you set up the Wi-Fi, you don't have to do it every time. So that's a whole
No, that's
different
just for
idea.
real-time mode. But like when we have the log uploader, it's easier, I guess. But
Much easier. I
there
agree.
is not a file explorer option with the USB, so it will just still be like annoying to do. Like even if you can do it, you plug in the Zen, you go to like the log viewer, you select the log file, and you say like transfer to PC or transfer over USB, and then you have to receive it on your laptop. Maybe you have to have some app open that can receive the file, or like that's also a lot
Very
of
much
work,
over that.
basically.
I think so too.
Hmm.
So directly to the API, that will be great. But that's coming. So the future.
Yeah. I think, yeah, well, I don't know. I think Wi-Fi is just the easiest way because most people have Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you.
yeah. Best we can do is make it very easy to configure the Wi-Fi
right.
Oh, I
or
agree with that.
configure multiple networks. Like you can, because now I have like my home network set up, but then if I want to go out and use real-time mode, I have to reconfigure it to be my mobile network because it has a different name. Things like that's a bit inconvenient to do right
Hmm.
now.
Can we make that automatically? That if you have 2 or 3 presets and then, or you just select another preset, or it goes, if it doesn't see one, it goes to the other
Right.
one.
Yeah, we can configure multiple networks, but it's just more data in the memory. But I'm not sure if that's an issue. I mean, memory is not unlimited,
No, no, that's true.
so we have to figure out like how to have multiple networks set up. But it's possible.
Okay, it's interesting.
Maybe just for now we can have like 2, and then it will pick the first, and if it's not available, it will pick the second, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That would be already a good start, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, was there anything else?
So going forward, my project is going to be a GNSS satellite comparison tool. So to log for configuration optimization. I'll just figure out how to do that, and then start doing some tests
Sounds good.
with all with the test bed.
And if you need some testing, I can do that here too for you.
Right, right.
Share the code.
And me too.
Sounds good.
Yeah, true.
Although I need the GPS modules because my current one is not really working, so I have to get 2 new ones. And then maybe Rob, I can get like new board, like the
Yes, I mean, let me
3.0.5
know
or
because there are many more boards coming on. They're on the way. What
yeah,
version do you want?
whatever you have.
What have you? I have lots of them.
I don't know,
Well,
2
let's
different
go with it.
ones. Yeah, and then
Your free boards, we have lots of them.
I'll skip the like the tube. Like I don't need multiple Geiger tubes.
Oh,
can
you
just
only need it for the GPS basically.
Yeah, it's just I can use like the what's that, the ticker, the emulator. I can use that for the Geiger counter.
Right.
Yeah, I can send you a few.
Yeah. So are you using the testbed M2 M10 emulator?
right now, I haven't used the newest version yet.
Okay,
Currently I've like disconnected again, but I
Right.
can connect it and then use it.
yeah,
I've just been working on this what's it called? Like my library. Sensor
Okay.
reporting. Right.
sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's it for today then.
Okay,
Me too. Okay, good. So
Yes.
let's see. Michael, this is still good for you, or Sunday still busy for you, or you want to?
if it's more convenient for Sunday, right now I'm not refereeing. Summers are a lot. I don't referee on Sundays in the summer, so Sunday morning, I should say. So if you wanted to switch it back, that would be fine.
Let's see what Louis wants. But for me, this is fine. Sunday is also fine. So
Right.
Yeah, for me Sunday is like twice as good.
Okay.
So
Good.
it's just a lot easier. So because now it's in between work, so it's
Sounds good.
Let's
Yeah.
try to do those Sunday, and if Louis agree, then we switch to Sunday.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good. Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Have a good
Have a
week.
good day.